Just be very loud.
Let's be really loud. Hi everyone, welcome to another one of Toppers webinars. We have 5 months to go for NEET, and all of you must be really anxious and considering the fact that you have very little time left, you must be having a lot of questions. So today we have another CAME student here. We have Ria Goyal. Hi, welcome to our webinar. And she is going to be sharing with us her subject-wise strategy for NEET to help you with your examinations. So firstly, Ria, how's your journey been from the NEET exam that you gave up to now getting into CAME finally?
It was it was an amazing experience. It was very exhausting, but it was also fun, and it was a really bumpy road for us because exam, CET or NEET and all that. But I just love biology. I love how the human body works and how it's functioning and how it's designed for every perfect point, and that just intrigues me a lot. And so yeah, it was because I was that interested and I just awed by the subject that's what motivated me. And so yeah, I just it was but it was an amazing experience.
So
And
you've always wanted to be a doctor, or like was it something that you suddenly fell in love with later?
yeah, I didn't always think of being a doctor, but like when I was like in eighth grade, ninth grade, I really enjoyed biology, and I don't know, there are some people who don't like biology in that phase, but I always loved biology, and that's when I decided that I wanted to do biology for the rest of my life, and I didn't ever want to stop studying science because it's amazing. Um, it's about why. It answers every single question about why anything is ever happening, and that's just I love getting those answers. So
Awesome. So being inquisitive is the key to success. So take that advice from her, guys. Okay, so before we proceed with the webinar, guys, I want you to know that we have a live chat session at the end of the questions we'll be asking Ria. So make sure you send us your questions. Keep sending us any queries you have, and we will get back to those questions at the end of the question session that we have now during the live chat. We have a 10-minute session of live chat, so make sure you keep those questions coming. So the first question for Ria, let's start with physics. What was your subject-wise strategy for physics during your preparation?
the most important thing for physics is to clear your concepts because physics is a very interesting subject, and I felt that the only way to tackle with the problems that people usually have for physics is to fall in love with the subject. I fell in love with the subject. I used to enjoy it a lot, and that is the reason why I cleared my concepts with every single step of the way, and every single teacher. Just go to whoever you're comfortable with, your teachers, your seniors, whoever, and get your doubts cleared and your concepts cleared. And then the second most important thing about physics is practice as much as you can. Just practice every single question that comes your way, and you should, by the end of, like, by 1 month before the exam, you should be able to solve any single question that you come across. And that was my whole point. And so yeah, there are two ways of solving physics. One is quantitative and one is qualitative. um, so I have solved about 800 questions for each chapter in physics, and you can't do that 2 months before the exam or 1 month before the exam. You have to do that throughout. You have to keep solving weekly. Every test that you have, you have to keep solving more and more books, more and more questions, and you have to solve. And it's not to solve just the same type of questions. You need to solve every single type of question that is there in a particular topic. And so my weak point was calculations. Math was always weak for me. So that is the reason why every question I solved, I got to the answer. Like, I got down to the answer with estimation and approximation and everything. So you have to find out what is your problem. Like, are you weak in concepts or are you weak in calculations? And accordingly, you have to solve questions.
Okay. So guys, make sure you keep those questions coming for the live chat session we'll be having at the end of the question session we have right now. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know, we have awesome webinars already and we'll be having more coming up soon on our channel. So make sure you subscribe. Okay, so Ria, tell us about the resources that you use to help you prepare for physics.
So I solved a lot of books for physics. I solved USS. So that book has more number of questions, but they are basic questions. So I used to do the book first to just clear my basics out. And then I went to DC Pandey, Arihant, which had a higher level of questions, but still basic. But it was to test how much you know. USS was to clear your concepts, and this is to know, just to test how much you are actually clear with. And then I went to Pradeep and NEET Guide. Those books have combination questions, and I think you should do that after you're done with your portion for physics, because like they have a lot of combination questions with a lot of chapters involved in one question. So yeah, so I solved these books for physics.
Awesome. So I hope you guys are paying attention. Make sure you take down notes and watch the webinar from the start again. If you missed out anything, let's move on to chemistry. So what was your strategy for chemistry, like for organic and for inorganic?
For organic, since there are a lot of reactions, I used to write down reactions a lot, like about 100 reactions every week, and that's how you make muscle memory, and you just remember, like it's just there in your head at the tip of your tongue, and you just know the reactions. And for general organic, you need concepts again, like it's like physics, almost like physics. So practice more and more questions, different types of questions. And for inorganic is quite simple. It's basically formula based. You don't really need a lot of application. It's just formula based. So that requires calculation practice mostly. And so books that I solved for chemistry were Pradeep again and NEET Guide as well. So yeah.
Okay. So and these were the only resources that you used for physics. So that's what you would recommend to other students preparing for NEET as well?
Yeah, I mean most of the books will have similar questions. Like 80% of the questions are similar. So more books you solve, it's just a few questions that are different. So it doesn't matter exactly which book you solve, just matters how many questions you solve and how well you solve them. Like try not to refer to the solution unless you're completely stuck and you have no idea what to do. Try getting the answer yourself, and you should reach a point where a question, if you're not getting it, it should haunt you for your entire day until you get the answer. And yeah, that's how I solved physics. Like just understand the concept exactly behind every question.
So basically, if you clear the concept, then you're good to go. And you need to keep practicing for both physics and chemistry. Awesome. So next, let's move on to bio. What was your strategy for biology?
Bio is more about knowing your NCERT thoroughly well, like really, really well, because you need to know each and every line of your NCERT. Like even if you think it's not an important thing, but if it's there in the NCERT, then you need to know it. You need to know every single line. And so 80% of the questions are going to be directly from the NCERT. So if you've done your NCERT well, properly, and by well I mean very thoroughly, like every single line, then you have 80% marks with you, and the rest 20% you can't really decide what to do. You just keep reading more. If you're from HSC board, then you read that syllabus, your HSC syllabus, CBSE syllabus is NCERT, but yeah, more and more related to the topic. But try not to get more distracted for those 20%, because if you try to go out of syllabus, you're leaving this majority portion. So you can't really do much about that 20%. Just read a little here and there. And I solved MTG guide for bio and Arihant for bio. And three questions from in my paper were from Arihant directly. Extra questions. So yeah, so you can solve that. And it has a lot of questions. Like both of the books have about 200 questions for each chapter. That's enough practice for biology. That's just to know how well you know your NCERT, and a few extra questions for you, just for the rest.
Awesome. So how important, you've already said that you need to practice a lot, but what was the importance of practice tests and mock tests for your preparation?
Practice tests are very important. and but you need to do that after you're done with your portion, because if you start solving papers before that, you're just gonna get demotivated, and there's no point in that.
Exactly.
So once you're done with the portion, you should solve. You should try solving one entire paper, physics, chemistry, bio, every day, with the exam environment. Like most of your centers are going to be government schools, so you're not going to have ACs, most of them, and the timings are afternoon timing. So you have to try to sit under the fan from 10 to 12 and solve the paper, because those things matter a lot on that day. Like if you're feeling hot, if you're any kind of distraction during the paper matters a lot, so you have to simulate that. And if you're giving online tests, then you should practice online tests, because sitting in front of a computer for 3 hours is stressful. And and practice tests are very important. Like it doesn't matter how much you score, it matters how well you're able to concentrate during the paper. And by the end, like 1 month before the exam, I was done with most of my chapters in physics. I had solved a lot. So during that time, I only solved papers for physics. And I did solve for chemistry and bio, but bio requires more of revision of the NCERT. So I concentrated on that more. The physics, I used to solve papers, and both NEET papers, past papers, and online test papers, mock tests, all that.
Awesome. So, what kind of challenges do you think a student normally faces, and what would you advise for them to tackle these challenges?
I think the biggest challenge that a student will face is the fear of that exam. And I think what I used, my strategy was not to give NEET that much importance. Like you don't think about the exam while you're studying. Just concentrate on studying, because the more importance, the bigger you make the exam, the bigger burden you'll feel, that it's going to be a burden to you. So I didn't think about how much I want to score or which college I want to go. I used to think about how much I'm studying and how much I'm left to study and how much I know my subject well. That's what. And planning your. So there are some people plan their week, some people plan the months, some people plan whatever. I planned my day. I planned my day according before lunch, after lunch, and then evening. That's how I planned. I planned small parts, 3 hours, 4 hours, how much I want to do every day, and that helped me because I was taking it one step at a time instead of thinking of the big exam. So that's one way you can avoid being stressed. And I think it's very important to be physically active during this time. Like you can't just sit and study, because it is going to lead to health problems. And my teacher always said that a healthy body is a healthy mind. So I think 1 hour of physical exercise is very important.
So yes, go for a walk, do something to keep yourself active. So what other competitive exams were you preparing for, and did they help you prepare for NEET as well?
I didn't exactly prepare for more exams, but I gave AIMS and I gave JIPMER. But my priority was NEET, so I concentrated on NEET mostly. And I think that is important. You need to prioritize. I mean, if you're aiming for AIMS, then you should prioritize AIMS. So you need to know what exactly you want to do and which exam you want to do and prepare for that. I mean, yes, you can prepare for more exams, but I personally feel that if you think of 3 exams right now, then you won't be able to give them justice, because every exam has a different approach, a different a little bit different. Yes, AIMS and JIPMER do have a little different approach. So I feel that you should clear it out in your mind which exam you want to give, and then give it your 100%.
Awesome. So, guys, I hope you kept those questions coming. Keep typing in those questions and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now for amazing webinars. Really important webinars. We have already posted them on our YouTube channel, so go watch those as well. So, keep those questions coming. Now, we'll be starting with our live chat session. So, we'll be picking up your questions one by one. The first question is from Ashi, who is asking, how does one prepare without coaching classes? If you don't have access to coaching classes, then what do you do?
You need a good teacher. That doesn't mean you have to go to coaching classes, and you need motivation. If you're not in a coaching class, you need to motivate yourself to study, and you have reference books, you have the NCRT, that's all you need. You need to study and you need to clear your concepts. That's why you need a teacher, and you need practice. That's all. Keep practicing questions every day, and plan. If you don't have a coaching class, then you need your own plan. So you have to decide how you want to go about with each chapter in each subject and every month. And yeah, just keep studying the NCRT, keep studying the books, keep solving questions, keep solving papers.
Right. So you can do well even without coaching classes. I hope that answered your question. So Sayanjit is asking which books are important for inorganic chemistry.
Inorganic chemistry, I solved NEET Guide and Pradeep. Inorganic chemistry is, you don't need different books. They are gonna have the same questions, and in fact, the more books you solve, the more questions, the difficult questions you're gonna come across, and then you're gonna get demotivated. There's no point, because inorganic chemistry is not as difficult as it looks. It's quite simple. It's just formulae. If you can't remember the formulae, write them down. Write every single formula each day so that you remember it well, and just apply them. Solve papers, because that's the best thing to do. If the more neat papers you solve, you know what kind of questions they ask in inorganic chemistry, and that is gonna help you.
Awesome. So I hope that answered your question. We have another question from Nishant who is asking, what should our strategy be during the last few months?
The last few months, I studied in a library for literally the entire day. I used to go at 8 in the morning and I used to come back at 10:30 in the night. And it doesn't matter how much time you're studying for, but it matters how concentrated you are when you're studying. And but if you go subject wise, my strategy, like I said, for physics was to solve papers by the end. For bio is to revise the NCRT. Like towards the end, just don't think about the extra questions, because you can't do it. You have to do the NCRT thoroughly well every single day. I used to do 2 chapters of bio every day from the NCRT and the Arihant. Like I used to read the chapter and then I used to solve the Arihant. And in chemistry, for theory, I solved a book from Disha Publications just for theory. And I read the NCRT during the last. And papers, neat papers, just neat papers. Don't go for prelim papers or any other kind of papers, because neat papers are the best thing to do the last 1 month.
Awesome. So we have another question from Sakina who is asking, how should I study from NCRT subject-wise?
For physics, NCRT has explained concepts really well, so you can just read it. You don't need to remember anything. You just need to read it to understand the topic, and you should solve the back questions of the NCRT. The NCRT also has questions, like it is common for math students and bio students. So there are going to be some questions that are involving a lot of mathematics, which probably aren't for medical students. So you can skip those, but try solving those questions, because the NEET paper they can actually pick up the question and put it, or they can just change the values and put it. So you should solve those. And for bio, you have to know the NCRT well, like every single line, every single diagram as well, because they ask labelings as well. So everything you need to know. Bio, you can't skip anything in the NCRT, nothing at all. Every single thing you need to know. And chemistry, again, it's like physics. You need to understand the topic, so you read it. And chemistry examples you need to remember from the NCRT, most of the examples. Yeah.
Awesome. So one more question we have, how is your approach for the boards different from your approach for NEET?
You don't need to stress about boards right now, because it's manageable. I know it looks like it's scary, and I know some parents are also scared about it, but trust me, it's not a big deal. First of all, it doesn't matter anywhere, and second of all, it's quite manageable. I started 15 days before NEET and 15 days before boards. And so my extra subjects were psychology and Hindi. The other subjects were common. English as well, but I didn't do much for English, because I don't know what you're supposed to do for English. It's
confusing.
you just have to write, and it's pretty simple. Just given a topic, just write. It's essay writing and unseen passage, sort of. And okay, for Hindi, you need to know the story. Just write the entire story in any question that comes your way. So just need to know the story, and there aren't many stories. And stories are interesting, they're fun, they're like boards is like a break from NEET, so they are like a stress breaker and they are fun as well sometimes. And for psychology, we had 8 chapters, so I did one chapter every day, 15 days before the exam, just to get used to the subject. And then during boards, I only used to study for boards, like during boards, I'm not talking before boards. During boards, one day before the exam, I studied for the boards. And physics, chemistry, bio is manageable because you are doing the same thing for NEET. And so for physics, I didn't usually remember the formulae. So I used to remember short derivations, like to derive the formula in short. So if you know the derivation a little bit, then you can write the entire derivation in the exam. So it's quite fine. And don't worry about boards. It's not a big deal. Just relax. Focus on your needs because that's gonna help you.
Right. So make sure that you're not too stressed about boards. So we have one more question from Sakina, who's asking, how many hours did you spend on each subject daily?
I didn't exactly count my hours, but before, right now, since y'all are 5 months away, concentrate more on physics because at least I concentrated more on physics. I studied 75%, not 75, 70% physics, and chemistry and bio, I split it in half the rest of my time. Physics, because I did physics right now, I didn't have to worry about it in the end, and I could do my bio and my chemistry because you need revision. It's quite volatile. Bio is volatile. Physics, you can't forget concepts. So do it right now. Practice right now. Do as many books as you can right now. And when you near the end, when you near your exam, then you do bio. Study bio really well. You keep revising, keep revising. I know it's gonna get boring, but by the time you reach that point, you're gonna anticipate what's coming next. You're gonna know each and every line, so you're gonna know which line is coming next, and it's gonna go really quick. Like you can finish one chapter in 20 minutes, half an hour. That's it.
Okay, so Pragya is asking, I hope you guys can hear us. I hope you should speak a little louder so that everyone can hear us clearly. Okay, cool. So Pragya is asking, what was your subject-wise, what were the chapters subject-wise that were most important and have the most weightage?
In physics, mechanics is very important, and it is conceptual again, and it involves, but mechanics is very basic. Like if you know your basics well in mechanics, you can solve any question, like whatever, however complex it is. It requires a basic knowledge, and the entire electrical part, like current and electrostatics and all that, that is quite important. And that was my strong subject. That was my strong topic in physics because I had solved it a lot. I had solved every single book for that. And also optics. Optics is quite important. Nuclear physics is just one chapter, so it's quite manageable, and it's actually common with the chemistry, so it's easier. And in chemistry, of course, organic chemistry is very important. And inorganic, you need all those 6 chapters, and you're gonna have like 4 questions or something like that. And do your blocks well, P block, S block, D block. You need to do them well. I remembered everything in that chapter because we revised it so many times, and we had a lot of questions, and theory questions are important. And in bio, everything is important. The entire NCERT is important. There's no particular chapter that's important. You have to do everything in bio.
So make sure that you study every single line.
Yeah.
That's the basic takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one question from Riti who's asking, how much time should we give each subject during the exam?
During NEET exam?
Yes.
Like I said, before NEET, you study bio. I studied bio all day during NEET because that requires revision. And physics, I solved only papers. So I solved about 2 papers. That takes 2 hours in the day. And chemistry, I solved questions, again 4 hours.
I think she's asking like during the exam, like while you're writing the exam.
Okay, that way. Okay, yeah. So that you have to decide yourself which subject you need to do first. I solved bio first because bio is 90 questions maximum marks. And you can't give more than 50 minutes to bio because then you're gonna lag. And chemistry is quicker, so try to finish it in 40 minutes, 45 minutes max. And physics is gonna take time, about 1 hour. So you're gonna have to manage it. Bio, 40-45 minutes should be enough, and circling, and please don't leave your circling to the end. Like keep marking 5 questions or 10 questions at a time, because if you keep it for the end and you mark it in a hurry, you're bound to make mistakes. And if after all this preparation you make mistakes in marking, it's gonna be horrible. It's gonna be very horrible. So keep marking. I used to solve a paper and then mark the entire paper. And one way you can avoid marking error is by checking the question number and marking. Like every time you mark a question, check the question number and check the answer and then mark. And yeah, maximum time is, you are gonna need more time for physics. And try it, like if you're still left, if you've spent 50 minutes on bio and you're still left with a little bit of it, then skip that, leave it for the time being, go to the next paper, and then come back to these questions. And if you're doubtful about questions, just circle them, don't waste time on them, come back to them later after you're done with the rest of the paper.
Awesome. So Mahendra is asking, what was your best day-to-day revision strategy for NEET?
Day-to-day revision, again, bio, NCERT, and physics papers, because when you solve NEET papers, you're giving the required attention to each chapter, because that's how the pattern is going to be. If a particular question is asked many times and many number of questions in that paper, then you are giving it that much importance, because you're solving that many questions for that chapter. And chemistry as well, solve chapters and solve papers, and concentrate on organic chemistry. Inorganic is just calculations, like I said, and keep revising the theory for S block, P block, D block, F block, because you're gonna forget that. So keep revising it just like you keep revising bio, and you are never done with your portions. Every time you're finished with bio, NCERT, both NCERTs, keep circling it, go back. I used to do that. I used to do 11th bio, 12th bio, again 11th bio, 12th bio. I've done it like 4 times in that 1 month. So do that.
4 times in a month. Make sure you take that down. Okay. So Indu Nair is asking, how do we formulate a proper revision schedule so that we don't forget the topics that we've already done?
Yeah, you can make a big chart at your place, subject-wise, with each chapter written down, and you can write the books that you've solved, and then keep ticking it. If you've done this book, you tick it. If you've done it again, you put another mark, so that, and you can keep it in your room anywhere, so that you remember what chapter you've done and how many times you've done and how many books you've done. That helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one more question from Sandeepan, who's asking, can you tell me the different approaches one should take for AIIMS and for NEET?
AIIMS requires a lot of extra knowledge, and for NEET you need to know only the NCERT properly. So for AIIMS you're gonna have to refer a lot of books, and I think you're gonna get a better idea if you solve AIIMS papers. You're gonna see the difference between AIIMS and NEET. AIIMS has about 60 questions for assertion reason, so that you have to strengthen if you're giving AIIMS. And yeah, I mean, I didn't exactly prepare for AIIMS, so I can't really help you out with the reference books. So, but yeah, solve the papers so you have a better idea.
Awesome. So thank you so much for being with us today. We really loved having you. And thank you for your questions. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Topper YouTube channel, for more amazing webinars. This week we'll be having another awesome webinar with the Mumbai Toppers. So be back, same place, same at 6:30 on Friday. So be sure to be there with us for that webinar. It's going to be awesome because you'll get to ask a lot of questions. So thank you so much for joining us, guys.